Hey everyone, and welcome. Have you ever wondered what separates a good teacher from a truly great one? The kind that completely changes how you see the world? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today, the science and theories behind what makes teaching really, truly work. So, just for a second, I want you to think back. Try to picture the best teacher you ever had. What was it about them? What did they do that made such a difference? It's something we've all wondered about, right? And today we're going to explore a few very different answers to that exact question. First up, let's meet John. John's an engineering lecturer, and for him, teaching is pretty straightforward. He has the knowledge, and his job is to pour that knowledge directly into his students' heads. He sees himself as a knowledge faucet, and learning is a one-way street. Now, here's Shari. She teaches politics, and her philosophy is totally different. She believes students only learn by doing. Her whole focus is on keeping them busy. As long as they're active, as long as there's a buzz in the room, she figures learning must be happening. For Shari, it's all about the activity. And finally, meet Elizabeth. She teaches physiology, and she sees her role in a completely different light. She's not just a lecturer or an activity manager. She sees her job as creating an environment, building a bridge, doing whatever it takes to make it possible for her students to truly understand. So let's put these three side by side. You've got John, who sees teaching and learning as two totally separate things. Then there's Shari, who thinks activity is the glue holding them together. And then you have Elizabeth, who believes they're deeply connected in this long, complicated, and sometimes messy process. Three teachers, three completely different mindsets. So who's right? To figure that out, we're going to look at four key areas. First, how adults learn differently. Second, the different tools a teacher has in their toolbox. Then, the reality of learning in a diverse world. And finally, we'll get to the big one, making learning meaningful. All right, first up, the student's perspective. Because, to really get what makes a great teacher, you have to start with the learner. And here's the thing. Adults do not learn like kids. It's a whole different ballgame. And there's actually a word for this, andragogy. You've probably heard of pedagogy. That's the method for teaching children. Andragogy is the art and science of helping adults learn. And it's built on the idea that adults aren't blank slates. They show up with a lifetime of experience and their own motivations. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Adults need to be in the driver's seat of their own learning. All that life experience they have, that's not baggage. It's a goldmine, a resource to draw from. They learn best when something is directly useful to their life, right now. And their motivation, it's usually not about gold stars. It comes from within. This visual here shows the ideal journey for a learner. We often start out in pedagogy, where the teacher's in charge. The goal is to move into andragogy, where the student starts taking more ownership. But the ultimate destination is something called hudagogy. That's true, self-determined learning. It's where you're not just deciding how to learn, you're deciding what to learn. You're the captain of your own ship. But being self-directed doesn't just mean you're left on your own. It's an active cycle. This model shows the three key parts. You have motivation, that's the spark, the why. Then there's self-management, which gives you control over the what and how. And so crucially, there's self-monitoring. That's you taking responsibility for your own progress. It's a constant, active loop. Sometimes the most profound learning happens when our entire worldview gets shaken up. This is called transformative learning. It often starts with a disorienting dilemma, an experience that just doesn't fit with what you thought you knew. And that moment kicks off this deep process of self-examination, questioning everything, and ultimately changing how you see the world. Okay, so we've been looking at this from the student's angle. Let's flip the script now and check it out from the teacher's perspective. A great teacher doesn't just have one method. They have a whole toolbox of theories to pull from. And here are some of the biggest tools in that box. You've got behaviorism, which is all about practice and repetition. Cognitivism looks at the mind like a computer, focusing on how we process information. Constructivism is the idea that we actively build our own knowledge. Humanism centers on the whole person and their potential. And a newer one, connectivism, sees learning as our ability to build and navigate networks in this digital age. A teacher like Elizabeth knows exactly which tool to use for the right situation. So having this amazing toolbox is great, but a tool is only as good as the context you use it in. To be effective today, teachers have to apply these ideas in the real world. And the modern classroom is more diverse than ever before. And this brings us to a really critical distinction: diversity versus inclusion. See, diversity is just having different people in the room, different backgrounds, experiences, you name it. But inclusion? That's the action. That's the hard work of making sure every single one of those people feels seen, valued, and truly able to learn. And when teachers really lean into this, when they practice what's called culturally responsive learning, the results are incredible. Motivation shoots up, students feel a stronger sense of belonging, and get this, academic performance actually improves. This isn't just about being nice, it's about being a more effective teacher. The source material we're looking at actually points to historical examples to illustrate this idea of inclusivity. It highlights teachings attributed to Jesus, like loving your neighbor and breaking down social barriers, as a kind of model for creating a welcoming and equitable space. And this idea of universal inclusion is powerful. It's underscored by figures outside of Christianity, too. Mahatma Gandhi, for instance, saw these teachings as something that belongs to all of humanity. It's a pretty powerful statement about the cross-cultural appeal of these values. So, let's bring it all together. We've talked about self-directed adult learners, a whole toolbox of teaching theories, and the absolute need for an inclusive classroom. So, what's the ultimate goal here? What's the point of all this? Remember our 3 teachers from the beginning? It's time to answer our question. John, the transmitter of facts, and Shari, the manager of activities, are both missing the point. The most effective teacher is Elizabeth. She understands that learning is complex and uncertain. She uses all the tools at her disposal to adapt to her students and simply make it possible for them to build their own understanding. And really, that's the bottom line. After all the theories, all the models, and all the strategies, it comes down to one single guiding principle. The number one job of a truly great teacher isn't just to teach, but to create the conditions that make genuine learning possible for every single student in the room. The world is evolving, technology is advancing, and our understanding of the human mind is growing every single day. The very nature of learning itself is changing. So the only question left is, are our teachers and are we, as learners, ready to change with it?